recording a solo episode today. You guys aren't going to get these very often because I host an interview style podcast. But, today is Christmas Eve. So, I guess first of all, Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and Happy New Year. It's been a crazy year. I don't know if you guys have felt this at all, but I feel like this has been like the absolute fastest year of my life. It's gone by incredibly fast, and I've done just a lot of really exciting things, like launching a podcast. Forced me to step outside of my comfort zone, but it's opened up the doors to so many really fun and amazing opportunities. But today, what I kind of want to start the episode off with is just talking a little bit more about Resume Assassin's origin story. And, I get a lot of people that are like, how did you come up with Resume Assassin? What's the story behind the brand there? And so I want to talk about that just a little bit today. And so before I do that, what I want to do is kind of rewind to year 2008. I mean, if any of you were in the job market or just entering the job market in 2008, you know that there was a huge recession, like literally nobody was hiring. And that's when I decided to launch my first resume writing company. So I decided to name it Brown Dinosaur because at the time I had a boxer dog, and her name was Mixi, but we called her Brown Dinosaur because she was absolutely insane. So I launched this company, Brown Dinosaur, and my bottleneck at the time was I had no idea how to market a company or land my first client, like literally no idea. And at this point, LinkedIn was around. I was on LinkedIn. I didn't post on LinkedIn. Actually, I didn't start posting on LinkedIn until this year, which, hindsight, I should have been doing that a long time ago. But yeah, LinkedIn was around, but it definitely is not the creator economy that it was today. It was a lot different. So I spent a lot of my time creating like physical flyers and posting on Craigslist. Yes, on Craigslist. And I never landed a client, and I didn't pursue it very hard. It's frustrating. I didn't have a very big network myself because I had recently graduated from undergraduate in 2007. So it just, the timing wasn't right. So it didn't work out. It failed very, very miserably and very, very quickly. Fast forward to about 2013. If you've ever been in Austin, Texas, you know how excruciatingly hot Austin can get in the middle of the summer. So my husband, my boxer dog, and myself are going for a walk. It's the middle of the summer. It's just incredibly hot. And we're having a conversation about starting a business. And we're thinking about if we could start a business, what type of business would it be? If you're anything like me, you don't really see yourself as having the skills, the experience, the knowledge that it takes to start a business. So when I'm brainstorming these businesses, I'm looking at my husband and I'm like, well, you've got all of these really great technical skills. Like, he knows Photoshop and he knows all of these 2D programs and 3D programs. And I'm like, well, you should start a course, right? You could teach Photoshop to kids. You could teach kids how to animate. He's got just enough skills to be able to create simple websites, right? So I'm like, you could create websites for small businesses. You could crush it doing that. But me, I don't think I have any skills to do anything. So for me, I'm like, well, I could start a dog walking business. I could, I could pick up dog poop. I could do that. Another one that I thought of that is actually, it was genius. I was like, you know what we could do? We could do an alcohol delivery service. And so this was before Instacart. This was before DoorDash existed. So I'm like, damn it, I should have patented that idea and gone with it. But I didn't. So here we are. But I thought of that before it was a thing. I'm sure many other people did too. If you don't act on it, guys, it doesn't matter. Thought doesn't mean anything. But then I was like, you know what? I've always loved job searching and I've always loved writing. And when I thought back, throughout my career over the course of the last 8 to 10 years or so prior to 2013, I thought about how much I actually loved the process of researching a company, writing a really highly tailored resume, and doing this over and over again. And once I would land the interview, I was like bummed out. Or if I would get a job offer, I was bummed out because I was like, man, now I'm not going to be able to, keep applying to jobs and keep writing resumes. It was like a game for me. And so when I won the game was over and I was bummed out. And so I was like, you know what? I can start a resume writing company. Let's do that. And, it was never a thought in my mind that it was something that I would do full time eventually. It was more of like, well, I can do this on the side. It was a side hustle. Really, it was a side hustle before side hustles became popular, which is actually kind of cool to think about. But, the very first thing that I did when I was thinking about what do I want to name my company? Because the very first thing that I actually thought about was how I could create a name and how I could create a brand within this company. Because when I did just a small bit of market research, I found that, a lot of the other resume writing companies that were out there that were on the market at the time were just like really boring. It was like, write a resume.com, bestresumeever.com. And I was like, nope, I want something way cooler than that, something that is more aligned to my personality. So I was like, I'm gonna get Resume Slayer. That was the first thing that I thought of. Unfortunately for me, Resume Slayer was already taken. And so what I actually did was I reached out to the person who owned resumeslayer.com, and they were just closing down their business. And so believe it or not, that was how I landed my very first client. Was the person that used to run that business ended up sending me a referral. But once I realized that Resume Slayer wasn't available, I was like, Resume Assassin. Yeah, that's second best, but it's really cool still. And in hindsight, I like Resume Assassin way more than I like Resume Slayer. So Resume Assassin it was. And I came up with this vision of an assassin. And, she was tough, right? She was a badass and she had tattoos and she was just a really motivational character. And, lucky for me, my husband is an amazing artist. And so he was able to put that vision to life for me, which I thought was really, really cool. And in terms of colors, I think my colors started off like green and brown. It was like colors that actually don't resonate with me at all. And then it kind of evolved over time into more of a purplish color, which one of my favorite colors is like a deep, dark blue purple, kind of like what you see in the background here. But yeah, so that was the start of Resume Assassin. And, again, like I said, it wasn't like I started this company thinking I want to do this full time someday. That wasn't even a thought in my head at the time. It was just something that I love to do and something to keep me busy. I didn't have any kids at the time. I wasn't making very much money, even though I had my master's degree. And I was like, well, I could make just a little bit of money on the side, which is great. And so I built the brand. And, when you're building a company, if you've ever tried to build a company from the ground up, nobody really knows what they're doing. And it's a lot of work. And for me, I was lucky because I had a full-time job that I enjoyed at the time. And, on the side, I was always working on just doing little things to start establishing my brand, to start building my brand, to start getting it in front of an audience. And, I did that. It was like brick by brick. I was doing these things. And at the time, it was like, I wasn't even thinking like, oh, this is a good thing that I'm doing this. Like, myself 5-10 years from now is going to thank me. No, I was just doing them because I'm like, I was trying to be as scrappy as I could. I was doing as many things as I possibly could. Like, for example, one thing that I did was, I believe it was Indeed.com used to have a forum. So I used to go on their forum every single day and just answer questions. So people would go on there, they would have a question, I would go on and I would give my advice. I would respond to their questions. And believe it or not, for a while there, before they discontinued that, I would get some clients from that discussion, just based on me providing some free advice and some free value to people. And I started to get these small wins. I would land a client just, from a seemingly random place, although I was building these blocks, like, reaching out to Resume Slayer. I got my first client from that. I wasn't expecting that, but I did take the initiative and I stepped outside of my comfort zone to be like, hey, how do you build a resume business? I want to build one. And I got a referral from that. And then that person ended up referring me, and that person ended up referring me. And then I was on this forum and I got some people. And, I was doing all of these things that eventually somebody would see it and they needed a resume and they would come to me for a resume. And so these small wins were awesome. And if you know anything about small wins, if you keep building and stacking those blocks and getting those small wins, over time, those wins are going to compound and they're going to turn into something a little bit bigger and a little bit better. And it did, and I'm not saying it didn't come with challenges, because I made a lot of mistakes. There were a lot of obstacles, a lot of hurdles, lots of things to figure out. And I failed miserably a lot, but I learned from those things and I kept going forward. I kept taking steps. For me, they were slow steps, but I was being proactive. I was doing something every single day to really build my business, to build my brand. And another part of what I really focused on was the client aspect of building a business. And for me, my clients are everything. If I didn't have my clients, I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't be anything. And I know that. And I knew that then. And because I knew that then, what I wanted to do was to make sure that my clients had the best experience possible throughout their entire journey of working with me. And that means a lot of things when it comes to resume writing specifically, but the ultimate customer experience is winning an interview with that resume. So there are things that you can do, from streamlining your process in terms of gathering the information that you need. The boring part, automating some of that stuff. There's a lot that you can do in order to boost the customer experience. But for me, what I wanted to focus on was just making sure that I was taking the time to write a resume that would get my client an interview. And, and I did. And over time, I got better and I got better. I built clients that were willing to advocate for me. And, what I mean by that is I wanted to have clients that were willing and excited and able and eager to share my information with their friends, with their family, with their colleagues, with their neighbors, with the person they run into at the grocery store, at the gym, whoever it is. Because at the end of the day, when, you're a solopreneur, when you're a service-based one-woman business, referrals are everything. Your clients can give you those referrals. And so that's what I focused on. And, again, like I said, I ran into a lot of problems and I failed in a lot of different ways. And I can definitely talk about that in a different episode. If you guys are interested, let me know. I could have a whole other deep discussion about all of the ways that I failed. And it's also been really challenging in, a lot of other ways, especially when I did decide to take the leap to go from just, Resume Assassin as a side hustle to Resume Assassin as my full-time job. It started to become more of an identity for me. So something else that was just really challenging was finding that separation between, yes, the work-life balance, but actually the separation between what are my interests versus what am I doing to move my business forward. There really was no fine line there, because everything that I've been doing for the last 5 years has been to make my business better, give my clients a better experience, to grow my business, expand my brand, open up our opportunities, expand my reach. And I love doing those things. So, especially over the course of the last year, it's like, well, me as a person, what is it that I actually enjoy outside of my business? Because I do enjoy my business so much that I kind of like meshed myself and my business together. And so like separating the two is, that's been a challenge. And I guess that's a whole different conversation outside of, the foundation of Resume Assassin and how Resume Assassin came to be. But yeah, I think it's also worth noting that, when I did decide to take the leap from Resume Assassin being a side hustle to a full-time thing, it was really scary, and I know that there are a lot of people out there right now that are building side hustles and they're like, should I take the risk and pursue this thing? And maybe if you would have asked me that question 10 years ago, I would have said, no, absolutely not. Do the safe thing. And maybe that's a smart answer, today. But you know what? Where I was at 10 years ago and where I'm at today, I would tell myself 10 years ago, like, absolutely, yes, take that risk on yourself. And for me, I'm not a huge risk taker. I am uncomfortable with change. I fear going outside of my comfort zone. But if you do those things, if you go against your personality, sometimes taking a risk on yourself is 100% worth it. I should say, not sometimes, always taking a risk on yourself is worth it. Now, am I saying, you have an awesome job right now, making $70,000, $100,000 a year, quit that job and pursue your side hustle? No, I'm not saying that. But what I did, again, I built bricks. I built a business layer by layer, brick by brick. Start taking the steps now to build that side hustle, and you just never know where you could take it in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, if you start doing those things today. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the origin story of Resume Assassin. That's how it started. That's how it came to be. I wanted a Resume Assassin chick ninja that could motivate, that could inspire, that could empower people to grow in their career and to land interviews at the companies and for the positions that they wanted. So it's my passion. It's something that I've always loved, and I plan on doing it into the future. And I also want to talk just a little bit about the future of Resume Assassin, because I've done a lot of really cool things in 2024, and I have a lot of really cool things planned in 2025. So what is Resume Assassin? So first and foremost, I'm a company that offers one-on-one services to my clients, personalized services. So resume writing, cover letter writing, and LinkedIn optimization. That's what I love to do. That's what I will always love to do. And I hope to be able to continue providing those services 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, forever and ever. Amen. So that's number one. Number two, this year, I launched a podcast, which I've been absolutely enjoying. Again, it's an interview style podcast. You're listening to it right now as a solo episode, but I interview LinkedIn top voices, thought leaders, and recruiters, and I've had some awesome conversations of all things careers, all things job searching, all things recruiting, AI, business, everything. Another thing that I'm doing is I launched a job searching group course. Now, this course is awesome, and I'm really excited about it. I actually just wrapped up my first coaching session just a few minutes ago here, but it focuses on how to write a really highly tailored resume, how to optimize your profile, how to create a networking strategy, and then how to put a job search plan together. So there are 4 sessions. It's live. It's directly with me, and there's so much value to be had out of this program. So I'm really excited about that. Another thing that I launched is Resume Sidekick, which is my AI enhanced resume builder. And this is kind of a spoiler alert, but I think that I'm going to completely rebuild Resume Sidekick with a completely different programming language, as well as incorporate an interview prep piece to that. Something else that is kind of a spoiler alert, and this will be launched in early 2025. It's going to be a one-click resume builder. So basically, you'll be able to copy and paste a specific job that you're applying to and upload your resume. And within less than 30 seconds, AI will generate a new resume for you that's tailored to that specific job. And you guys, I'm going to be giving away free polls on that. It's going to be like a cha-ching slot machine style. So I'm going to be giving away free polls on that every single week. So follow me on LinkedIn if you haven't already, and keep your eyes out for that because that's coming soon. Another thing that I launched just this year is an interview prep piece. So if any of you're rusty with your interview prep skills, hit me up. I'm happy to help. And so yeah, Resume Assassin has a lot of exciting things coming in the pipeline. I have a lot of exciting conversations on this podcast that I'm excited to release. I have a lot of podcast episodes and guests that are on my calendar, and those that I hope to try to get on the podcast. So I just have a ton of exciting conversations that I'm super pumped for you guys to hear. So yeah, thank you guys again for coming on this journey with me. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm glad that you're here with me. Tons and tons of exciting things coming up here into 2025. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy your Christmas, spend some time with your family, take some well-deserved time off, and we'll talk to you soon.